The quick vlog. Here we go. Yeah, not done a universal credit vlog for a little while. They tend to get more views than anything else I do. Um, so yeah, here we go then. You might not be able to hear me because my phone's on charge and it's got a little short cable. So universal credit vlog. Right. There's people now. It's universal credit van life. It really is. It's people can't afford to pay rent. More and more people can't afford to pay rent, and when they can't afford to pay rent, they get themselves in a situation where they've got to go on to universal credit, or where universal credit can pay their rent. But the problem is that because universal credit quibble about the person's rent costs, it's just if it's actually in a rental contract, that's what it is. Yeah, it's not. Oh yeah, but we don't want to pay that. We'll pay this and we'll pay. No, it's whatever it is, whatever that person is paying rent or has paid rent for years or whatever it is. That's what the landlord wants, right? So then they get a problem. They get rent arrears. The landlord's on the back anyway. Universal credit takes forever. Then you actually have to borrow your advance to just to get through. Uh, then people get in a car, live in a car, to live in a van, to live van life. But the problem is that van life isn't recognised by universal credit, unless you got. It may be if you got motor caravan status, but most vehicles won't have. It'd just be a van to put a mattress in the back, and that'd be it. So then you've got a situation where people are trying to put a van on the road for about £73 a week with no accommodation costs. And then if you've got attachment to earnings as well, what used to be about 71, it's about 73, 74 quid now. But when it was 71 quid, if you've got attachment to earnings, the attachment to earnings can actually take below the 71 quid and leave you with just 64 quid. And if you've got to put a van on the road for 64 quid, chances are you won't be able to. Unless you're extremely shrewd with money, and most people aren't. And then you get yourself in a situation where you might not even be able to get to a food bank. Because unless you do stealth camp, and then you've got to be, you've either got to do stealth camp, which is near facilities, then you see people in tents who haven't got a van. They just have to keep anywhere. And the problem is that councils know this is the case, and they're powerless, or they choose not to do anything about it. So there's people now living in tents, living in camper vans, living in cars and all sorts right now, living in containers, because it's cheaper than paying rent. And if they can't get their rent paid, they're having to put a camper van on the road for. So you might see a camper van on a lay-by somewhere or wherever they park up, and the person may just be in complete dire straits financially, completely in a mess financially, and nothing they can do, nothing the council can do, nothing Universal Credit can do. The food bank may be able to get the food to them, but then again, not. Sometimes they will just need financial costs, vehicle costs paid for, just to get through the week, just to get through the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. If Universal Credit does not recognise the van life costs of accommodation, and that putting a vehicle on the road and living is virtually impossible to do on £64 a week for accommodation costs and living costs combined, Because if you're living in a van, your living costs need to be paid for. Your accommodation costs, which is your van costs, need to be paid for. And then you've got living costs, which is groceries and whatever, yeah? But if you don't get your accommodation costs, which is your vehicle costs, which you get your car tax, your car insurance, your MOT and whatever paid for, you've got to take that money out of your living costs, which leaves you then completely broke and destitute almost. And that's why people then are going to the food bank. Why is it so easy to see that not recognising van life is a problem? And that because they don't want to recognise it, they're having to provide all the other services that people come across, need almost, yeah? Because they can't see the elephant in the room, which is recognise van life, and it will solve a lot of problems financially for a lot of people. Paying people a wage of £8.70 an hour, whatever it is, yeah, minimum wage, living wage. It's not a living wage. If you can't buy a house on an hourly rate of 37 hours a week at £8.50 or £8.70 an hour, if you cannot buy a house on that for a single person, that hourly rate needs to be increased to an hourly rate where a single person can buy a house. And it is that simple. Because if a person is only earning £8.70 an hour, or whatever it is, less than £9, they're never ever going to be able to buy a house on that money. Which means that they would always have to pay a landlord rent forever. And that's where you get your problems. Because they're trying to think of an hourly rate that is acceptable, but they couldn't work on it. They like nice juicy pensions and big salaries. Why don't those in power, MPs or whatever, why don't they work for £8.70 an hour? And they would see then they would soon up the rate from £8.70 to about £25 an hour. And that's why it's got to go that way. But paying people £8.70 an hour, a lot of people are actually standing on their feet all day long in shops for £8.70, £9 an hour. It's not on. It's got to change. Whether they do it or Facebook, Google, and Amazon could almost pay people that sort of money from personal wealth almost. Once at some point they will be that wealthy, Amazon, Facebook, and Google, that they will, instead of actually going by advertising dollars, they will eventually be able to pay a wage to vloggers. But at that point, that'll cause no end of problems, because then no one will need to go to work, which means you won't be able to get your delivery delivered to you because people won't need to just be making vlogs. And that's where we're going. We're in the year that LibreCoin becomes digital currency. It won't take 12 years for 2.3 billion people to start using LibreCoin. It'll take about 2 years, if that, 3 years at max. That's not a code, by the way. And then, as 2/3 of the UK are on Facebook's LibreCoin, 2/3 of the UK will be using LibreCoin, which means that the UK will then have to provide GDP sterling for the third of the people that don't use what do you call it, LibreCoin. And then you're in the right pickle, because then it's not viable to even make GDP coin and currency. And then you get then Facebook and Google can provide a public service, a public sector service for free to the public. And when you go down that route, then you wonder why you've got to pay for the existing incompetence. And this is basic problems that they're being paid to sort out, and they can't sort out. They can't even stop traffic jams. This is just not me. This is me trying to see it from a tech point of view. And a tech point of view is that you can't solve a tech. They've got now Huawei, the 5G. That will cause massive problems between the UK and the States. It just will. And the reason why Huawei have done it is because it would cost the UK billions and billions and billions to do it themselves, and it would take them about a century to get to use it, despite them saying that they use tech. Tech is tech venture. This is the same week that the UK doesn't realise that there's a domain name aftermarket, website address aftermarket. In the same week when there's probably going to be a 2letter.com sold this week for over £1 million. But you take the £1 million down the high street and they say, we don't recognise that. We're in unprecedented times where the world is going digital, and it's not going digital when the UK wanted to go digital. It's going digital when Facebook wanted to go digital, and Google and Amazon at their speed with unlimited financial wealth almost. Amazon and Facebook and Google, the current members of Google, and Zuckerberg, Bezos, Brin and Page, have got a combined personal wealth of about $1/3 of $1 trillion. They can do and fund anything they like. They could fund the UK transport network if they wanted to. They could replace every road in the UK if they wanted to, and they would make billions by doing it. That's how out of date traditional methodology is. And I'll leave it there. Have a good evening. Ta-da.